Today on the pod, we're talking to GrowTropicals. This is a growing houseplant brand. They sell rare and unusual houseplants. They're a business that's doing really, really well. They're growing, they're doing a lot of marketing, and they told me in the pre-chat chat that they feel they have cracked the new customer acquisition strategy through their ads and their emails and everything else they're doing. And I know that there's a lot of you listening and watching in that would love to know what they're doing. Well, you're in luck, because that and so much more is what we're going to talk about. Let's get into it. Welcome to Grow with Evergreen, the podcast for home, garden and lifestyle brands who really know their stuff. Each episode features honest conversations with established brands around the real challenges they face as they grow. This is a practical, experience-led discussion for businesses already doing serious revenue and looking to make smarter marketing decisions as they scale. Let's get into it. Right, welcome back, beautiful people. Hope everyone is doing well. As ever, for the second episode,
time, yeah.
Darren's on film. Give us a wave.
Camera angle has
There
changed.
So you're now on the thing.
Expect that to happen every episode, by the way. The camera angle will change slightly every episode.
Of course, he's a perfectionist. Ever the perfectionist. You watch the first one back and you're like, I'm not happy with that. So we've changed it up. I, however, am consistent as clockwork, right Absolutely. In the middle of the boardroom. Right. Well, so we've got a podcast. This is going to be a great one today. We're going to talk to, we've got two guests. Once again, Sonia and Jacob. We'll bring them on in a couple of minutes. Jacob's the founder. Mm-hmm. And he does the marketing and the e-com buys and emission and fun stuff, which I agree. Marketing is fun.
I've got to disagree there because I think Sonia's got the better job.
Do you think?
Because she's doing all the creative stuff.
All the creative, yeah. So Sonia's been with the company a couple of years. She's doing all the creative. And I love how Jacob described Sonia. Because we always said, just what's your role? What's your sort of remit? And he was like, she's a marketing Swiss Army knife. Well, we all need one of those. We all need a Swiss Army knife in the business. So particularly when it comes to marketing. So that's going to be the conversation. Let me turn off all of my sound effects and notifications that you just heard in the background. Or was that you?
No, that was me.
That was you.
But they won't have heard it. So
okay. Then ignore me. Ignore me. Okay, fine. So we're going to have a great conversation. I want to find out how they've grown this business. They're doing 7 figures. They're kicking on. They're doing some great stuff. So there's going to be a lot to learn, a lot of key takeaways as we find out more of their story and find out what their marketing's doing and have a chat about that. But before any of that.
Oh, I'm feeling a bit ill, Aaron. But not in myself, in my marketing.
Oh God.
Have you got something to cure me?
I just that was terrible. Anyway, no. So I'll tell you what we've been up to for the last. I've sort of hinted at it over one or two of the last recent podcast episodes, but at the time of recording, we're late February now, or sort of mid to late February. And for the last 6 weeks or so, I've been very, very busy. And I've built a thing in true Jeremy Clarkson style.
You really have.
I've built a thing. And what this thing is it's a diagnostic and it's going to be free. And we're about to release it. And at the time of this going out, it will be out. We will be running ads to it. We will be sending emails about it. We will be talking about it. We will be and essentially we want to raise the standard of marketing across the whole home and garden space. Mm-hmm. That is our space. That is where we market. That is what we love. And we're working with more and more brands of varying sizes, and we're doing some really good stuff. And we're now doing email and all the paid stuff and the creative and offline, more and more offline stuff now, print-based stuff. So we're really, Evergreen's becoming and has become a real sort of master of various marketing tactics. But all very sector specific. Yeah. And we love this, the home and garden space. And it's all we do. It's everything we do. But there are only so many hours in the day.
There are.
And there are only so many brands we can help. And what we want to do, our big sort of overarching mission is we want to raise the standard of marketing across the space. And so and we also get lots of smaller businesses reaching out to us.
Yeah, we do.
And those that are just doing a lot, also established businesses and brands that are doing a lot of marketing. And I'm talking to businesses every day, often sometimes 4 or 5 calls in a single day. It's ridiculous. And a recurring theme that we hear to be true again and again and again is that they're busy doing marketing, but they don't have a plan. They just don't, they just haven't got a clear, it's so busy to be busy doing, but actually, where's it all going? Where's the path? And I have the same conversation. And last year, my goodness me, I had the same conversation hundreds of times. Yeah. And so basically, what I thought, wouldn't it be good if I could consolidate the advice that I am giving and the characteristics of their business into a way of being able to help all these people? So basically, what I've done is I've put Evergreen's brain from a marketing perspective into a program. I've built it into a tool, a bit of a coder back in the day. So I've built this thing, and we're going to put it up on the website, and it's going to be 100% free. And what you do is, as a business, you go on and you will answer a series of questions. It will diagnose your business, where you're at in business, what you're doing, what your marketing looks like. Just answer the whole series of questions, and it will then profile your business against all of our IP at Evergreen. So all of our logic, our frameworks, what we do, how we do it, what we recommend, the characteristics of your business. It profiles it against everything we know to be true that we have, that we work with our clients. And then it basically spits out a 90-day plan for your business, a diagnostic. It diagnoses your business and then says, based on everything you've told us, based on everything we know to be true about this space, so about the exactly this sector, the characteristics, and it depends on the type of business, the size of business, the setup, the marketing, the resources, the revenue, the ad budgets, like you name it, it's in there. It will then tell you what to do and what to prioritize over the next 90 days. And we're doing it and we're giving it away because we want to just raise the standard and help all those brands that are busy doing marketing, but without a plan. And my goodness me, that is more common than most people realize. It's so many people. We're running ads. We're sending emails. We're posting content. We're doing this. We're optimizing our website. We're sending stuff in the mail. We're doing this. Yeah, but why?
Yeah.
Where's it all going? What are you trying to achieve? What does success look like?
Yeah. What's the goal?
What's the goal? What I say is, when was the last time you got in your car and started driving without a destination in mind? I say that's one of my phrases, but it's true of marketing.
That was one of my Aaron bingo phrases for a long time.
But it's so true, and so many brands just don't get it. They just it's so easy to fall into trouble. We're going to run ads. We're going to send emails. We're going to do this. Busy. But are you prioritizing the right stuff, or are you just doing what is often the case with business owners? Is shiny object syndrome. Your attention is devoted. Oh, we should do this. Oh, we should do that. We should do it. Where's the plan? How do you prioritize? So it's a prioritization and planning tool that is essentially wrapped up as a diagnostic.
It's very impressive. I've seen it, and I've seen lots of examples of it. And
we've had some amazing feedback from it already.
It's incredible what it can do. I think it's also just amazing that in a world filled with AI, you've made something that doesn't use it. It doesn't generate things with AI, which would be the easy option.
This is based on Evergreen. It's based on what we know to be true. So everything is that you see. It's as if we've had a conversation and you've told me about your marketing. This is working, this isn't, and I've gone, in our experience, this is what we would recommend. It does that across every nuance of what you answer. Now, if you answer accurately, you'll get an accurate plan. If you inflate the numbers, if you exaggerate, everything sounds a pound, then it's going to tell you accordingly. So, but if you answer it honestly, I mean, the test is for those that, you're watching, listening. By the time this goes out, you'll be able to go onto our website. It will be there as a pop-up. It will be there. You'll be able to find it very easily.
We'll put a link through. This is a message to Archie, who's editing this.
The edit,
Put a link somewhere.
But it's Evergreen Growth Diagnostic. Home and Garden Growth Diagnostic is what we're calling it. There you go. That's what I've been working on. And you're right now, as of literally this morning, like before recording this podcast, what were you doing? What have you been doing?
I was making some ads
for this.
And you know what? I just had an idea of. This is some real meta, not platform, meta sort of talk at the moment.
Okay.
But I actually think what you just said, I'm going to turn that into an ad.
I mean, there you go. We'll talk about leveraging our time. Happy days. But yeah, you could. It's been. I've loved creating it because it's been a nice exercise. It's actually been a really nice exercise to be able to get out of my head all that I know to be true about marketing,
consolidate,
and almost just then start to go this, that, and the other. And there's like 20 odd years of experience there to just and this is genuinely, I haven't even mentioned it, but everything. One of the motivations for actually doing it, alongside creating I want to create a tool or a program that can help everyone, but actually the process the discipline you have to be able to compartmentalize all of the different factors and go through and put and kind of, okay, it's this, and it's this, and it's this, and this, and what's the sequence in, and all of that stuff, and get out all the frameworks and all of the logic and the ifs, buts, and maybes and all of that, because I am going to actually take all of that and use it as the framework to write a book.
Oh wow!
Yeah, so that's one of my 2026 goals is to write a book. And
you heard it here first.
There you go. And I already know what it's going to be called. I'm not telling you that, but I'm going to write a book. It's been on my sort of to-do list for a while. And then, yeah, and I'm going to, because it's the same logic, it's the same principles, it's the same philosophy to marketing of, this is how you do it. So everyone's busy running around like crazy people doing the marketing without a plan or prioritization. There you go.
Not anymore.
Wow, once you use it. But yeah, use it. And hopefully it'll be useful, and let us know and feedback. We've already had some fantastic feedback. We put it out as sort of a beta at the moment and get some really feedback. So yeah, there you go. Right, shall we go, Son?
Yeah.
Let's do it. Jacob, Sonia, are you there?
Hey, yeah, I'm here.
There you go. Well, thank you both for joining us. Delighted to have you on. Jacob, I know you said there might be a little bit of background noise, I think, because you're out and about at the moment, but that should be fine. Guys, introduce yourselves. Who are you? What do you do? Over to you.
Yeah, I'll jump in first, if that's okay. So yeah, my name's Jacob. I'm the original founder of GrowTropicals. I obviously management position, so I kind of oversee most areas of the business, but I think my day-to-day focus is working with Sonia on marketing, and then also covering things like purchasing, finance, etc. But it's really the marketing which I think is the most interesting part of that to talk about today.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, for a growing business, marketing is everything, right? And it's as the founder, it's the last thing that you're going to be giving up. It's going to be the thing you're going to be doing for a long time yet, and that's from someone who knows that to be true. So okay, and Sonia, your role?
Yeah, I pretty much manage and execute all of the different aspects of marketing. So from organic to email, I pretty much like to say that I unpick Jacob's brain and bring everything that he kind of has inside of there to life, and then get to have that fun job of kind of creating and executing and then seeing the performance of it.
Amazing. Okay, well,
I think Sonia also undersold herself a little bit there by saying she unpicks my brain, because she also comes up with lots of great ideas herself.
Oh, bless you both. Right. Well, thank you so much for coming on. This is going to be great. So again, for those watching, listening on, you can go to us. It's GrowTropicals.com. Really nice website. Again, with some amazing product. I mean, some of this stuff on here, I like a bit of foliage, funny enough. And I'm looking at this, and there's some weird and wonderful stuff on here that I'm thinking, oh yeah, this is a bit of me. And you describe yourselves as the place to buy rare and unusual houseplants, yeah?
Yeah, so I think when we started the business, the original kind of concept was to offer plants that you can't get in garden centres, in independent plant shops. Obviously, as we've grown, we've kind of widened our range, and now we sell pretty much every type of houseplant that's possible to grow indoors. I think I looked recently, we'd offered, since we started back in 2021, we offered about 5,000 different houseplants, different SKUs. We don't always have them in stock, but we really pride ourselves on having what I think is the largest range of houseplants in the UK.
Amazing. How many SKUs do you have currently then? Like roughly?
Normally on the website, we're running 600 to 700 active at any one point.
Wow. Okay, amazing. Right, I've got lots of questions, lots to get into, but before any of that, I've got the eyes from Darren, which can only mean one thing. No, I'm getting better.
It's time for a paid media mystery. That's right. It's time for everyone's favorite part of the podcast. It's a paid media mystery, where I ask Aaron and our guests a paid media question, and it's always tailored around the brand that we have on. And the best part, of course, is that everyone listening, and watching at home
and playing along,
can play along as well. Yeah, I looked at the camera; it threw me off because I keep forgetting. I keep forgetting. Yeah, I can't just sit here and talk. Yeah. Best part is as well, because it's multiple choice. So our question today for you three and everyone at home is: what percentage of online shoppers say that product reviews influence their purchase decision? Your answers are A, 41%, B, 63%, C, 77%, or D, 98%. So again, what percentage of online shoppers say product reviews influence their purchase decision? Is it 41%, 63%, 77%, or 98%?
Where are you going, guys?
Oh, it's a good question.
I'm going to... Oh, go on, Sonia, you go first.
Oh, I was going to go high because I can't remember the last time I haven't bought something without looking at reviews or looking on TikTok. So I'm going to go high and say either 77% or 98%?
Yeah, 77 and 98.
My personal gut is if it's a self-reported stat that everyone's going to say really high, so like 98%. I don't think that's necessarily true, but that's probably what people would say.
Cool.
What say the question again?
What percentage of online shoppers say product reviews influence their purchase decision?
So Jacob's gone D.
Yeah.
Sonia's
gone C or D.
Oh no, we're gonna have to press C.
I'm going to have to press you for an answer there.
Come on, Sonia, we can't have that.
Okay. I'll change my mind. I'll go a little bit different to Jacob and I'll go 77%.
Okay, so you've covered the two highest.
D?
B was 63, A was 41.
I'm going to go B.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sure?
Yeah.
The correct answer, Jacob was right on the money, is D.
Is it?
98% of consumers read online reviews for local business and products before purchasing.
No, according to wherever you pulled that, wherever you started that from.
According from
there'll be many of our viewers that will disagree with that.
Well,
I'm one of them.
Unfortunately, they're not here to debate me, so
Yeah, that is the truth. Stick it.
That's our paid media mystery, whether you like it or not.
Literally, we're not here to please. Right, there are paid mysteries, so there you go. Right or wrong. Okay, amazing. Right, so. Okay, where do we start with this one? So, well, I said at the very top that you guys, you mentioned in the pre-chat chat that you feel sort of you've cracked or you've seen a big improvement in the CPA, so the cost per acquisition. Obviously, as a brand, like everyone in this space, doing a lot of ads. So, just expand on that if you will. Just sort of talk us through what you're doing, how you're doing it, and what's been the sort of the light bulb moment or moments along the way.
Yeah, I'll take this one. So pretty much, I want to say we've trialed a lot of things that have kind of gone well, and then we've equally trialed things that have not gone so well. But one of the major sort of things that we trial and dip into and out of is just different platforms. And, we hear a lot, we see a lot of kind of information as, new and emerging platforms, especially TikTok being one of kind of the newer ones that we've trialed recently. And I really think kind of keeping on top of what's going on in the industry, what advances are coming out with Meta constantly updating and TikTok bringing out new elements so you can start, ad partnerships and whatnot. Definitely just being always on top of trialing the new things and then just not being afraid to give it a go. And if it really doesn't work out, then, at least we can say we've given it a go. I think we did start, I want to say 2023, 2024 on Pinterest, just because, it's a home and lifestyle brand. We really gave it a really good shot. But decided, it wasn't really where our time and effort was worth being spent. So we just migrated over and, equally just put less eggs in a basket. But yeah, and just, keeping things fresh and keeping them new.
So but specifically, or Jacob, have you got anything to add to that?
Yeah, sorry. The thing what I was going to say is I think the other thing that we did is we went back to basics a little bit. So I think in this time where it's kind of a counterpoint to what Sonia was also saying, but in a time where there's so many different things that you could do, and you only have to go on to Twitter, X, Reddit, wherever to see like tactics on marketing. And I think what we did is we really pulled back away from the kind of tactics and more thinking more strategically. And that was kind of like, okay, what offers do our customers care about, particularly in this kind of retail environment, which is definitely pushed offers into more kind of price value sensitive stuff. So we really pushed rolling out offers. And then we really pushed rolling out more creative to test. So we were testing, obviously, Sonia mentioned, like across different platforms, new platforms like TikTok, and also kind of core platforms that we've used since we started, like Meta, but really trying to understand what part of the marketing message resonates with customers, and then really just hopefully tying up that experience from ad to checkout, essentially, so that what we're talking about in the ad reflects what the customer's landing on the landing page, trying to give them good offers and, trying to be price conscious as well, because I think like anybody, people have just less disposable money in the pocket at the moment. So yeah, it was really just kind of pulling back to basics and thinking kind of strategically as well.
Okay, I think
Yeah, definitely.
an interesting observation and something that we see a lot is that it's so easy these days, the to just go straight out and to go onto platform and just, it's very easy to, seemingly get your ads out on Meta or on Google, wherever, Pinterest, TikTok. But I think where you're right, in as much as a lot of brands, they do the default to tactics and they go straight in for, right, we're going to just set some ads up. But actually the correct way to approach it, and it sounds like that's what you guys are doing, is think actually it should be market your message and then the media. So whereas everyone starts with media, everyone goes, right, well, we want to run some Google ads, we want to run some Meta ads. What's the, what do we want to say? You've already chosen the media before you then think about, right, well, what's the message, and then it's almost the market, who's our customer, right? Okay, we're going to think about them last. Whereas actually, you've got your customer, who's your market, your customer. Then actually, what, as you say, what is the message? What is it about offers? Is it, what is that message we need to get across to them? And then once we're clear on the market and so who the customer is and what's going to resonate with them, then we choose the right platforms for them. Which it sounds like that's the way you're doing it. That's certainly what we advocate, but it's not what a lot of brands do. And we analyze a lot of ad accounts, and we'll look at it and we'll just go, well, you're busy creating lots of ads, you're pushing lots of stuff out there, but where's the strategy, where's the plan that sits beneath that is ensuring there's a consistency of themes? What is the funnel? What is the message we want to say to someone? This is their first interaction with the brand, their second interaction with the brand, their third, and so on. So it sounds, is that more what you mean by when you've gone back to basics and thought about the message and the marketing?
Yeah, definitely. And I think one other thing to kind of add to that is, and I think this is kind of key with, at least we've seen with like growing the business, is like killing your own ego in the decision making. So, and what I mean by that is, I think we all come to marketing and business with assumptions. Like we've always had assumptions about a customer, and I think it's important to have them, but it's also important to follow the data. And one really good example of that is, as a trial, we recently, my gut feeling looking at the data was that we were double spending essentially across Meta and across Google, and we were seeing huge overlap in spend, and that was kind of driving down efficiency. So we actually tried turning off Google completely, and we ran that for 6 or 7 weeks as an experiment, and we didn't see any negative side effects of that. Now, I'm not saying that long term that won't harm it, but I think it's interesting always to do these experiments to kind of like actually test, okay, paid is probably, paid and staff costs are probably our two biggest P&L lines. And you would interrogate your stock like that, you would interrogate your staff like that, so also interrogate your spend like that as well.
I think that's, I mean, when was that? Because that's what I want to just put the crux of is you said about you brought down the CPA. Was the Google change, was that part of how you managed to bring the CPA down to the cost per acquisition? Because obviously, like you said, late last year, late 25, you made some changes, and that has seen a very noticeable, clear drop in CPA. And the reason I want to press you on that and see if I can get, exactly what you've done in terms from a tactical standpoint and what changed is because I know there'll be a lot of brands, businesses really struggling this year with their cost per acquisition. Everyone's seeing cost per acquisition going up because, it's tough out there and this and the other. So what is it you guys have done to buck the trend on that?
Yeah, I would say that's part of it, but it didn't start with that, if that makes sense. So that was just, I'm trying to think back now to when it would have been like towards the beginning of this year that we turned Google off, but we kind of saw the decline in CPA from probably late October. I think in reality, what has driven that primarily is a better customer offer fit. And I think we all sit around talking about Meta and Google and like should we use ABO and CBO and all of these different like algorithms and ways of creating ads. But I think ultimately, if your customer doesn't want your product or the offer that you're selling the customer isn't appealing to the customer, then it doesn't matter what strategy you use within the platform. It's fundamentally broken. And I think the biggest thing you can do to reduce cost of acquisition is just make your product more appealing to the customer.
And how I completely agree. And it goes back to what I was just saying, market message media. It's not thinking first with Google or Meta or Pinterest or TikTok or whatever, but actually thinking what's the message for the market, for the customer, and then use the medium to amplify it. That which is that. So how did you arrive at that in terms of, okay, this is our product, the message isn't resonating, or we want it to work harder? Was that just through testing? Was it through experimentation? Did you do something really cavalier? Did you go out to customers and survey them and get feedback? Like what did you do to get to that stage where you go, okay, before you crack it? Or was it just through, experimentation and a bit of luck? How did you arrive at that point?
Yeah, I think Sonia can really break down some of the like ongoing things, and I think we've always been a very community focused brand, and that we have a very open dialogue with our customers. So I think there was lots of learnings over the previous 4 or 5 years that went into this, but I think it was also identifying that our ultimately our core customer demographic at the moment is people who have a collection of houseplants, right? What we maybe have not been great at historically is how do we appeal to somebody who knows nothing about houseplants, and kind of the step between our core demographic of this person who maybe has 10, 20, 30, in some cases 300 houseplants in the house, and between them and the person who's never considered a houseplant, doesn't know anything about houseplants, is probably the person who's just getting into houseplants, 1 or 2. Yep. And they want to start building out a collection. Like anyone who's like really got into houseplants understands you buy 1 or 2 plants, you see some success, and then it's a little bit addictive, it gets a bit Pokemon, got to catch them all. You want more and more, and it's we started, one thing that worked particularly well with us was like bundle offers, but we'd always tried what I call like static bundles, like here, buy these 4 plants that we think are good for your bathroom, or buy these 4 plants we think are good if you're into philodendrons or whatever. But I think what we did is we combined that with a price point offer. So we started running some bundles that were like 4 plants for £30 or 3 rarer plants for £40. And I think factoring in, again, the point I made about just like disposable income, and I think in this particular economic climate that we're in right now, the consumer is much more price conscious. It was like, okay, £30 feels like an accessible price point. And when we kind of drove into our data, that was like around the peak where we saw in terms of like average order value. Yep. It wasn't our average order value, but obviously there's kind of multiple peaks in that. It's not a linear line. Yeah. That was like one point. Okay, people are spending £25 to £30 on orders. How about we make a really appealing offer at that price point with plants?
The perceived value will go up massively if you bundle.
Yeah, exactly. And that's not, there's an element of that's something that you can just switch on, but then also we kind of tying that in with how we buy plants and working with our suppliers to get better pricing on certain plants and trying to offer more perceived value. So increasing the perceived value of the product, trying to hit the price point that the customer is wanting to spend or slightly above to try and drive a little bit more revenue, but also just identifying like the environment that the customer exists in at the moment.
Yeah, that's smart. Yeah. That's also go on, Sonia.
Oh, I was just going to say, just to add to Jacob's point and kind of moving away from the monetary value sort of aspect of our ads, one thing that we did, and I think Jacob touched on it quite nicely, is we do have like a online community Facebook group, and we ask them all the time, like it's a really nice two-way channel. And one of the feedbacks that we got was kind of more so tapping into like the pain points as to why people would choose to maybe buy plants in a physical store than an online store. And then that became those core pain points became basically our campaign topics for some ads. And those ads, weren't necessarily offer led or money led. They were really just kind of tapping into the reasons why you wouldn't. So one of the reasons, for example, was, oh, you don't know how they're going to arrive on, at your doorstep. It's cold. It's, UK rainy, snowy weather. And one of the sort of founder led ads that we ran for a campaign for quite a while was basically very basic. It was pack an order with us. And in that period of time, it was winter. So we were explaining, we offer winter protection and what that does. It's a foil blanket and a heat pack. And it just ensures that your order arrives at your door safe and sound and, can be tipped upside down. I think Otto showed the package going upside down and all sorts, and still it was delivered perfectly. So I think tapping into those sort of pain points as to, oh, I would buy a plant from you, but really nails them.
It's removing that back of mind thinking that your customers will do, but they won't necessarily. I mean, if you ask them, they'll give you that feedback, but they won't openly talk about it. But they're probably thinking their back of mind. It's that from a marketing, psychological standpoint. Those triggers are massive. You can, as you say, have it. So that's really what I'm doing.
Yeah, I just wanted to add on to that. Both of you actually spoke a bit about community there, and obviously, in your application that you sent us, you mentioned about community is a big part of your business, and so I have almost like a two-part question. Firstly, when you started the business, was that a goal? Was community always a big part of what you wanted to create, or was there a moment where you sort of thought, we've got a community now, I didn't expect this? And then my second part of this question is, have you ever had a really memorable, whether that's for a good reason or a bad reason, message from a customer or your community?
I like it.
Yeah, good question. I can probably talk about the beginning. I think one of I'm not going to say it's completely unique to the plant industry and the plant community, is that it's an incredibly socially driven consumer base. So what I mean by that is, at least our core demographic, those people who have plant collections, they're very active on Facebook groups about plants. They're very active in Instagram. A lot of them have plant-specific Instagram where they talk to other plant people, or they're on TikTok talking about plants, or Reddit. And there's definitely an online community. And I think when we started, which was just before COVID, but particularly through the pandemic, that really accentuated. Like, people had nothing to do other than be on Facebook groups talking about plants. And I think where we grew the business, like in the early days, when it's kind of in my back bedroom, was through Facebook groups, through building that kind of connection with people, getting a reputation for maybe offering plants that other people didn't offer. And that was before we even considered like paid marketing. And then I think we've always just been very active in the kind of Facebook community, in the Instagram community. So I think really it's been in the brand's DNA from day one. And we've always wanted to have I think as Sonia put it, like a two-way conversation with customers. And that's from everything from social media to customer service. And I think, there are some of our competitors that are equally as successful as us with like offers and all the other things I spoke about. But I think consistently what we see in customer feedback and in reviews is, you guys actually listen to us, or when I have a problem, I reach out and it gets solved. And I think that like human element of like the customer feeling like they can talk to us and actually get a response and feel included has been something that's been in our DNA since the beginning. But I think obviously since Sonia joined in the last few years, we've just had more manpower, more resources to like really kick that into the next gear.
Yeah, and just to add to that, I think the whole idea of it being a holistic brand, so from customer service to the quality that you expect from the first impression on the website, I think that's where what really sets it apart is at each point in each sort of journey of your, the customer's journey, they are really able to tap into talking to us or asking a question to us, and it would either on Facebook or, the customer success team. They're amazing at what they do. And I think that's really does set us apart from the rest of the brands. And they know exactly who they're talking to as well, because chances are you've seen someone's face on social media, or you've seen somebody talking, or you've seen someone talking on a Facebook group that happens to be Jacob or myself. So I think it's a great sort of community-led group. And I know Jacob touched upon like the beginning of the brand, and I actually found out who GrowTropicals were through a Facebook group, I think back in 2020 or 2021. So it really does harness like that little untouched aspect of customer acquisition. And then more recently, I want to say it was maybe 2 years ago, because we did actually get like a little milestone. Jacob and I were in London. I remember actually just sitting having a coffee, and Jacob said, I think we should have our own Facebook group. Like, it's time. And I was a bit like, oh gosh, like, Jacob, is your head getting a little bit too big? Like, I don't know if we're like, I don't know if we're at that community level just yet, but it blew me away. And it was like, wow, people actually do want that extra stream of communication. And I think really harnessing that, tapping into, you know, the reason why they've joined that Facebook group is they want sneak peeks, they want behind the scenes access, or they want early access to restocks or promotions. So we always try to make sure we add value to our members who are part of the Facebook group and even the Instagram broadcast. And I think that's the reason why they stay with us and the reason why they enjoy being in that group. And it's that community led of sharing your unboxing experiences or asking for plant care tips and knowing you've either got the team, you know, to support you, or you've got a really wider connected like community to support you on your plant care journey.
It's nice. I think. Oh, sorry, Jacob, go for it.
I was just going to say the other thing I'd add on that is, you know, we spoke a little bit at the very beginning about tactics and channels, but I think what the Facebook group is a good example of is just like meeting your customers where they are. And these, as I said, I think the plant community, it's strange actually, because it's definitely a kind of millennial demographic at its core, you know, this kind of 25
really
to
is.
late 30s. They're very active on Facebook. Everyone always says Facebook is dying and Instagram and TikTok, but they're super active on Facebook. And
I think particularly in groups. Actually, I think it's probably
Facebook
one of the
groups,
most things that I do on
really
there.
good forum.
Yeah.
In terms of that, to work as a group, Facebook still really works. It is really good. In terms of that's available to, that's accessible and understood by the everyman and woman. You know, yes, you can have a Slack group and you can have a
everybody
Discord
knows
group,
Facebook.
but it's like that.
Yeah.
Everyone's got a Facebook account. And a lot of people will only use it for the groups. You know, I'm just thinking, I have Facebook. Do I use it? Do I post on it? No. But am I in the local village group? Yes.
Yeah.
Am I in hobbyist type group? Yes. You know, that's what that's what my feed is for. It's that. So yeah, really interesting. I think there's a couple of points I just want to pick up on, because it's interesting. This pod is a great forum because it gives us the opportunity to talk to lots of brands, and we have a really good conversation. And a recurring theme that we hear time and time again, and I'm just thinking of recent episodes. It was true for David Austin Roses that came on. It was true for Plant Hardware that came on. We've had loads of guests, dozens of guests over the last couple of years with this pod, and a recurring theme that we hear time and time again, and we just heard it then, is it's organic content and community. It's community and what humanizing your brand. It's human when a business, all the businesses that are doing really, really well, that regardless of economic highs and lows, the ones that are robust, the ones that grow, the ones that they may not set the world alight with their growth, but they're consistently chipping away, they're growing, are the ones that are happy to be either the face of their brands or have people within a team that are happy to put their face out there, happy to humanize who they do, not afraid to flip and do a selfie and just showcase this is who the brand, this is what we're up to, this is behind the scenes, and are coupling that organic posting to just show this is us, this is who we are, with a community. That is like the secret sauce, but it's not so secret, but that is what so many of the growing brands have. They've like, as David Austin Roses that came on, community for them, massive in terms of, and whether it's your own community or whether it's a community because it's such a niche topic category and you're, as a brand, you're tapping into that, you're part of that community, or whether it's your own or a combination thereof. But when you have a community that you really focus in on, and you then you balance that with post organic, that gives you such an amazing foundation that then when you look at ads and email and all of the other drivers to grow the business, it just works. It's what loads of our clients do. You have the community, you do the organic stuff, and then your paid search, your paid social, your email, all of those marketing drivers, those levers you've got to pull, they can drive the growth of the business and push you forward and go after new client acquisition. Great for retention strategies to, get more lifetime value from your. But if your business is not solely or overly reliant on that, and you've got this sort of base, it just makes for a better business model. And that's ultimately what, marketing, you can have the best offer in the world, but is the model right? Is the mix right? Is the marketing right? And where the brands that we've had on the pod that have been the ones that have really struggled or having a really tough time, when you get into the nuts and bolts, and quite often we'll do some consultancy off the back of the pod, people will reach out and say, loved it, can you look at our accounts, and we work with clients, whatever. But often the ones that are having a tough time are the ones that are, it's always the same. It's always because there's no community and there's no organic and there's no sense of, well, who is this brand outside of the ads? Who is this, what are you? What are you famous for?
Nothing sets them apart.
Nothing sets them apart. It's because if you're just, people buy from people want to know, particularly these days, it's that human element. And by humanizing yourself.
Particularly with something like this, which we've all established is a very community-based product.
It's honestly, it's just for those of you watching, listening, that if you're a brand, there's lots of, brands that everyone uses, I look at dozens of ad accounts every weekend and speak to dozens of business, owners. Everyone is using Google, Meta, Pinterest, AI, now in terms of how to amplify your message, to go out there. Everyone wants new customer acquisition. Most people are not focusing enough on lifetime value and retention strategies. But we're all doing that. But if you couple that with what's the why, it's almost the why us strategy. Why us? Because we're part of the community. Why us? Because we're showcasing who we are. Why us? Because we're humanizing our brand. Why us? Because we genuinely have a passion for what we sell. All of that you can convey in your social content, on your website, through your content, by humanizing your brand. It's the why us question. If you answer the why us consistently through your content, you use the ads to amplify and grow. That is the marketing, secret sauce. It really is.
Yeah. Anyway, one thing I do like to.
Go on.
Oh, sorry.
No.
I was just going to say, just to add on that, one thing I do always like to say about our Instagram, and I think Instagram in particular, just because we are the most active on it and we use it quite a lot, we have a good following, is remembering why people are on Instagram and going all the way back to the basics of, they don't want to be sold something when they're scrolling on social media. They want to go to social media and see something that inspires them or relates to them or entertains them in some way. So when it comes to our organic strategy, we're always mindful of and the good thing is, I think we're quite lucky that we have endless content of this, because in the warehouse and in the nursery, everyone is so plant enthusiast, and also we have so many plants to showcase and share with our audience.
That's a huge
one
part
thing.
Of it.
Yeah.
You definitely, and we try not to do too many salesy kind of posts on Instagram, because at the end of the day, the community sees that, like you said, through the ads, through our emails, through our website, but social media just showing what they want to see, and that is really just behind the scenes footage of our nursery, of the really cool geeky plants that we're all obsessing over.
It's as you say. I mean, we've worked with some plant brands in the past, and I've done some creative ads for them. And I mean, your key advantage is that the plants themselves, they do so much of the heavy lifting when it comes to the creative. Like you have a huge variety of some incredibly interesting visuals, and you don't even have to do anything. You just have to put a camera on in front of it, and it does most of the work for you.
No, this what we're unpicking here. This is why you guys are growing. You're kicking on. Because you're doing all the right things, and there are lots of people in this space that will just default to the media. Let's run some ads and then hope that solves all of our issues. And it's all about the product. It's all about the ad. And that is important, yes, but there's more that should sit beneath that gives you that foundation. The community. What are you up to now by way of followers, numbers? What's in the community now?
I was going to say, just on that, I think I want to say we're about 30,000 on Instagram. It's not huge. I have some friends who are YouTubers and influencers in the plant world, and they got 1 million followers on YouTube. But I think we have a super engaged audience, and I think that's sometimes even better than having huge numbers of unengaged people. Same with our email list. I don't know what is, say 50, 60,000 or something from recent numbers, but we're culling that all the time. We're being really strict about who we're speaking to. So I think that's important. And the other thing I wanted to touch on is you said that question about like the why question.
Yeah.
And I think we really started this brand in day one when I kind of said, okay, I want to make this business, was because I was a plant enthusiast. I wanted to buy plants I couldn't get anywhere else. So the core of the business was solving a problem for me. And we've always been very conscious of that question of like, why would somebody want to buy from us? And I think the selling houseplants is not the most innovative business idea in the world. You know, you can go to a B&Q, you can go to a Tesco, you can buy a houseplant. You can go to the market, you can go to an independent plant shop, you can go to a garden centre with your grandparents on the weekend. Like, there's houseplants everywhere for you to buy. And I think we started with kind of a product differentiation in terms of offering plants that other people didn't offer. But then as we've expanded, we've obviously had to offer more run-of-the-mill houseplants too. And then it's like, how do you compete against these other places?
Yeah.
Other than going completely on price? And, you know, I mentioned obviously offers around price and things, but we don't want this to be a race to the bottom. We need good margins in order to cover those acquisition costs and cover the things we want to do with marketing and cover the community aspect. So I think it's really building that messaging through community, through reviews, through the marketing that we do with paid, of kind of maybe some of the touch points on quality, and that we care more about plants than other people, that we spend more time on packaging them, that we do a better job of ensuring they're healthy before they leave. All of these things to increase the kind of perceived value of plants. And like, why would somebody come to us and not just buy from somewhere else that may be a little bit cheaper? It's because, well, for a start, they are getting a better service, but they're also, the perception is they're getting better service as well. And then once they've done that, the reality is that the service is better as well.
There you go. Yeah, I love it. Completely agree. It makes it. You're ticking all of the boxes, aren't you? In terms of the thought process, it's the passion. You know that. How many? I was thinking about when you just said that, because when we had on a few weeks ago Plank Hardware, husband and wife team. Why did the business start? Because they wanted really nice things for their, their
solving an issue that they have.
They couldn't find anything. They were like, I'm going to go and get something. I want something a bit nice, a little bit unusual, something everyone else doesn't have. I'm going to go and get it myself. That turned into a business. It's such a. I love this podcast. It's just, there's so many themes that we just see time and time again, and it's reaffirming in terms of, and I think again, because it's in our world, it's home and garden, right? It's all we're talking to. We just see these themes, and you hear people that are doing the right thing. And you go, yeah, they get it. They're on the right path. And then you speak to others, and you're like, you just need to think of this differently. Don't that. One thing I did just want to just go a little bit back to, if you don't mind, is because just I might be able to help you on your way with this, because you obviously mentioned that you're doing a lot of Meta ads generally, a bit of Pinterest, TikTok, etc., etc. Do you know your average order value?
It obviously fluctuates a little bit, and one of the interesting things is we've actually reduced the average order value over the last few months, but dramatically reduced CPA by pushing those slightly lower value but higher volume offers.
Fine. Like the bundles, which makes sense.
It tends to run in the, like, I would say £45 to £65 range. That's kind of the range that we see, depending on time of the year and things like that.
And as that increased, that's increased since the bundling, right? Because because a lot of plant brands would be in the £20 to £30 sort of bracket. So is that been driven by the bundling?
It's actually fallen slightly, and the reason I say that is because if we look at like a distribution of orders, we see peaks around our like free shipping threshold, which is at the minute around £60.
Yep.
But we also saw a lot of peaks around £25. So if you just average all the orders, it's actually fallen slightly.
Fine.
But if you look at it on a distribution level, we have more orders at £30 now than we did at £25. So even though the overall average, which I actually think is a slightly false figure because it doesn't really give you the full picture.
Yep.
The individual, those lower value 25 to 30 pound orders, we've now got more of them at a slightly higher value, but because the volume of those orders has gone up, it's pulled the overall average down, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. It makes complete sense. So, because I think what I was going to say was, when we see a lot of this with when your average order value is in and around the level 50, 60 quid, when you're in that level, Google ads can be very hard to make work just because the CPAs will be higher. And now with Meta and Andromeda and the way it uses creative, as long as you can produce enough creative for Meta to do the creative iteration, that the frequency of changes, the different creative that's going to talk to different customers. With yours having so many SKUs, the products with and without, people being in them, like all of that. For me, Meta would be the play I would be going at because I think the CPA on this will stack up more easily and more quickly through Meta than it will Google. Google can work for products, and there's a general rule of thumb for those of you. Listen, if your average order value is sub £100, Google will be a difficult nut to crack. It's not impossible. We've done it. We are doing it. But as a general rule of thumb, if it's a product that can visually sell itself like plants, then Meta often can be the way to go to get serious volume and scalability, so long as you can feed it with the volume of creative it's going to need. Google can be amazingly powerful, but it's just going to be a bit more painful getting there because of the testing and the iteration and the experimentation you're going to have to do to crack it based on the CPCs. So, and I don't know if you guys have seen that. Does that feel relevant or true in as much as why you turned off Google? Were you seeing much higher CPAs?
I think the problem we had is when we looked on the dashboard of Google, it all looked great. When we looked on the dashboard of Meta, it all looked great. But then when you look at the blended number at the end, because everybody's taking a little bit of everybody's pie, right?
Of course.
And the attribution question is the one that everybody struggles and no one has a good answer for. I think what we expected was that probably, as I said before, there was a high crossover, and we've got a few different analytics platforms. And when we looked at the customer journey, it would be like, saw a Facebook ad, saw a Google ad, saw a Facebook ad, saw a Google ad, got a Klaviyo email, whatever. And it was like, okay, what if we removed one of these out of it and they just saw a couple of Facebook ads and got a Klaviyo email? Would we still acquire them? And so far, we've definitely seen good results. I think the one thing that we've been surprised about with the channels is tagging on the TikTok part to the Meta mix, and we've only been doing it since November, so I'm not going to say that we're experts at it or anything, but we've just seen very, very low CPMs on TikTok, and the kind of strategy there was just traffic, get the traffic as cheap as possible onto the website, and then use Meta to kind of sweep them up, I guess. And I was probably the worst person in the world with the TikTok thing, because I spent the last 2 years being like, I don't understand TikTok. I don't use TikTok. I don't think TikTok is a platform for us. But Sonia kept pushing me. She's a bit younger than me, saying I do everything on TikTok. And I think we try it.
So do I.
We trialed it before, and we weren't very successful. But what happened is, obviously, you kind of touched on it with the Andromeda thing, and we built out this kind of process of more creative iteration. We're like, okay, what happens if we just plug all of that new creative into TikTok? How will that do? And we saw it take off. And we're definitely still in the trial stage, but we've actually been very happy with that kind of TikTok Meta combination at the moment over the last few months.
Are you on Google? You're doing retargeting though, I take it, and brand?
We are just turning a little bit of the Google spend back on. I think where we could see it working is through retargeting. I think we also create we have our own product range of soils for different houseplants, which we sell. That's part of the B2B side of the business. But obviously, when we sell them D2C, we have a really good gross margin on those products.
Yep.
So we've also tried turning those on because we can afford a worse CPA on those products than maybe on the plants. And with the theory also being that if somebody buys a specialist houseplant soil for their anthurium or for their monstera or something, chances are they've got a couple of these plants and they're also a potential customer of ours.
Exactly. Yeah, the lifetime value. But I think, yeah, I mean, for Google, the absolute starting, where are you is a no-brainer. Should be plugging plug your your email database in. Make sure you got the Google tag on your website and be capturing that traffic to retarget them, because that will be money very well spent. It's just the retargeting. If you're getting decent numbers of footfall to the website, you've got a 50,000-60,000 database. If you've got active social accounts and a community, I'd be plugging all of that into Google and give you a whole that additional touch point across search. Remember, that's it's all places that Google exists, including YouTube. So that would be very powerful. Then you're going out to very much a warm audience, and you could probably run really effective retargeting for less than 500 quid a month. That would really keep you omnipresent and very visible and out there among a warm audience for a few hundred quid. That should be like printing money for you guys. So for Google, that plus brand, running a brand campaign, they're like almost prerequisites, no brainers. I would have that. Even if you don't do anything, then I'd be using Meta as the amplifier, but make sure you're cross-pollinating across search and social, and obviously making sure you capture that data, but plug in even the email data back into search, back into social.
So I do have a question for you actually off the back of that. You mentioned like brand and brand search. I've always thought we've always done it, but it's always felt like we're just paying to capture audience that's already going to end up on our website because they've searched GrowTropicals. Chances are they're looking for our website, and then we're paying for them to click a link at the top of the search when they just click the second one, which is our website. Just wondering from your perspective, where you see the benefits of spending on brand is.
Couple of thoughts on that. So we advocate spending on brand for a few reasons. One, it's going to give you more of the SERP, we would call it, the search results page, right? So it's going to give you more real estate on that page. Also, if you're not paying, it's quite likely someone else might. It's not unheard of for your competitors, others that Google is a commercial company, right? It wants to monetize its search results. So if you're not bidding on brand, it might either find a competitor that is, or something else which is the nearest, the nearest equivalent, or something that it feels is relevant. And also remember that we all get personalized search results these days, so to speak. So what you search for is not what the next person's going to see the next person. So it's a fail-safe to ensure that you are visible. Also, it ensures that, as I say, you get more of the real estate. And also, if the reality of it is, 9 times out of 10, brand clicks will be pennies. So for the return that you're going to get with bidding on brand, because I can't imagine, as a small business, growing business, you're not going to get vast volumes of brand search. So for the cost outlay, for the benefits it's going to give you in terms of, we're visible, we're out there, we own the search. When anyone looks for us to buy anything related to brand, we own the real estate page. And for the pennies that's going to cost versus the return, whether it's on Google, I mean, we've got clients where we run brand, we're getting a 20, 30, 40, 50 times ROAS, reported, because we're only spending, 100 quid, 200 quid on brand a month, because the reported return is exponential. And so for the benefits in ensuring your brand is as visible as possible and as prominent as possible, and minimizing the risks of ensuring that Google doesn't show anything else, either rightly or wrongly, for our brand, most of our clients would make an educated thing and say that's worth a couple of hundred quid a month.
Okay, but yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I guess, sorry, the follow-on question to that. I think one of the things that, as probably all brands want to do, is to consider, like, is this next pound of spend, is it actually incremental? Are we making a difference? And that's kind of the thinking, obviously, behind the killing the Google in the first place. Like, I feel like we're not being incremental with this spend. And obviously at a scale, kind of, I don't know, 7-figure brand like we are, we don't have the scale to do some of the big kind of incrementality testing that you might do if you're a 9-figure brand,
Sure.
being able to do like holdouts and stuff in different areas. Do you have any tips on like how to unravel that kind of attribution mystery and try and understand that, is this spend actually efficient? Is it incremental?
A few things. So what are you using at the moment to attribute? Are you relying on Google Analytics for? Like, what is your single source of truth, or don't you have one?
We have at various points tried lots of different pixels and triple whale and the pixel. We use Polar Analytics at the moment for most of our analytics. Mm-hmm. What we're actually using is, for a start, we kind of realized that they were not giving us actually that much clarity on the question, no more than just looking at the platform. I think we've gone back to basics a little bit, and we just run tests and see how that affects, things like blended, things like cost of acquisition.
Yeah. I think sorry, go on, Karen.
I was just going to say there's lots of tools, but when we start to look at, okay, do we want to spend $500 a month on this tool? It starts to it's not actually giving us the return on investment to use this, and it's not really making the picture any clearer.
Yeah, I think, look, it's very common. I don't think there's a single, answer in terms of this is, do we have, as an agency working across, dozens of accounts, do we have like a go-to metric or platform? No, is the honest answer. We don't. It's always going to be a case by case. I think you're right in what you said, is keep it simple. I think there's a few ifs, buts, and maybes, and it depends based on your scale, your size, etc., in terms of what we would recommend and what we would implement and do. I think in terms of themes of things that we would be looking for, so we rarely look at a single metric. So we don't just look at just ROAS as in isolations, or CPA or whatever. We would look at a blend of different metrics. We also don't rely too heavily on what the platform, or we gather the data of what Meta reports, what Pinterest reports, what Google reports, etc. But we take those to a degree with a pinch of salt because of different attribution windows, etc., attribution types, and so on. So we will look at the various data points, but we'll try and approach it on a bit more of a MER basis. So we'll look at the marketing efficiency rate, and we'll essentially break it down as total out, total in. So there is no way of getting around, as you've done, some experimentation. I think it's about understanding. So what we would do is we would do a deep dive into the customer journey, understanding the consideration phase of what someone is buying, the frequency with which they're buying. Crucially, for a business like this, it's understanding the lifetime value. It's accepting that they're going to have multiple interactions, and you are not going to be able to put, that tick in that box and not in that one in regards to they clicked the email, they didn't do this, they did do that. And you can track it to a degree, but can you, say this, it's the classic, and the thing to remember on this is only a problem if you deem it to be a problem. Because, even back in the 30s and the 40s, like 100 years ago, the old, marketing cliches back in the day when it was, all brand advertising, this, that, and the other was, well, look, half my marketing works. I just don't know which half. And that's still true today. We still, we're marketing different tools, different platforms, technology here, there, and everywhere. But the old uns are the best uns, in as much as, those old cliches are still true. You still don't know exactly what does work and what doesn't. What you're going to have to, as you're doing, testing, experimenting, understanding the customer journey, and then using, like for this, my instinct would tell me that Meta would be the better route to go down. So like you've done, if you were a client of ours, what we would be saying is we'd be saying, well, look, let's look at the data. You've got to factor in seasonality, all of that good stuff. And then, okay, what happens if we double or triple the Meta budget? What does that do? And then if at the same time we maintain Google, and then we try it the different way around. And you can also run some hypotheticals. You could forecast it out. You could do some advanced segmentation in GA or triple whale or whatever you're using. There's a kind of a mix of solutions. There's not a single sort of like, yep, this is every time, this is what we go. So I don't know if that helps or answer the questions. I can't give you this is what I would do. It kind of depends, which I hate saying on the pod, but it kind of does depend.
I think it does help because it basically reinforces that we're doing exactly what you suggest, and that there's not a clear answer, which was kind of my gut. But it's good to have that reinforced.
No, it's true. And as I said, we've got, multiple clients that are doing, 7 and eight figure, multiple 8-figure businesses. And they're all of a similar sort of thing. There's a lot of jostling for trying to understand, okay, how do we attribute? And actually, we settled a couple of years ago. We just said, look, since the rollout of GA4, since the lack of, with privacy policies and GDPR, and since all of that, tracking basically and being able to pigeonhole, okay, that we can see that channel spent X, got Y return, is incredibly difficult to do with any degree of absolute accuracy. So we just accepted that and said, well, actually, and the biggest thing that you've got, and that, every brand and business watching this will have, is you'll have your past data. So that's probably the biggest, insight that you can have, is lean into that data. So it's, again, we would look at it and we would go, well, let's look at last summer. A lot of our clients, spring, summer is their peak. So we would go, well, what did the marketing look like last year? What was the total out? What was the total in? What was the marketing mix as a brand? If we step back, how reliant are we on paid versus this? What is our AOV? What was our lifetime value? The repeat purchase rate? We would look at all of those metrics, and then we would model it. And we'd look at the last couple of years. And this is what we do. We look at everything, we model it out, and we can say, okay, well, consistently, you're spending in your peak quarter 50K. And we can see that the overall revenue is giving a 5-6 times return. So you're putting, these are all just make up numbers, but you're putting 50 in, you're getting 300 out over that 90-day period or whatever. And we would say, okay, well, what's that marketing mix? We'd break it down as much as we can, knowing we're not going to be able to put, cross every T and dot every I. And then we would model it out and we'd come up with scenarios and we go, so what does the revenue for you? It would be, rather than worrying about acquisition, what I'd be looking at is thinking more on a MER basis and looking with the end in mind. What does the revenue need to do? And therefore, what can the business afford by way of investment into marketing? And then once you've got that figured out, I'd then be taking it slightly more granular and going, okay, so now what does the past data tell us we've done? What was the split? We were 70-30 towards Meta. Okay, do we lean more into that or do we not? And then there's going to have to be some trial and experimentation.
Yeah, that all makes sense.
Yeah?
Yeah, no, I think we're on the same page then.
Good stuff. Glad to hear it. Well, look, I've loved having you guys on. Is there any other questions you want to rattle through or anything you want to discuss? Or I think we might just have to wrap it up there. Is there anything else you guys want to cover?
I think I'm all good.
Yeah, from my side, I think all good. It's been great to chat, and thank you for having us on.
Pleasure.
Yeah,
no,
you
guys, it's been an absolute pleasure. I think it's a cracking business. You guys doing all that. I love the community. Yes, keep building that community and just putting yourself out there. So you do some great stuff on your socials. It's why we wanted to get you on, because you're putting yourself out there. You're letting your personality shine, and that is a beautiful thing. And not every brand is doing that, and it's why not every brand is growing as you guys are. So best of luck. Keep in touch. Thank you so much for being on. And yeah, we'll stay tuned and watch how you guys continue to grow.
Perfect. Thank you for having us.
All right, guys. All the best. Take care. Well, there you go. That was Jacob and Sonia. Really lovely.
Really
They're doing
good.
all the right stuff. They're doing all the right stuff. Bless Jacob. I think he was in a coffee shop or something.
Yeah.
A bit of background noise. But they're doing all the right stuff.
Yeah.
I love having brands
I
on.
love a community brand.
Yeah. These businesses that just, we talk to a lot of businesses, obviously through the pod,
Sure.
but and those recurring themes. Yeah. The big takeaway for those of you listening, watching along is, if you're a brand and you just, you're a bit of a one-trick pony with your ads. Oh, we're doing loads of ads. Okay, great. But what's, why? Why you? Why? Because ads is a great amplifier, an amazing app, the best amplifier. But actually, brand needs, from a marketing perspective, from a YU perspective, it needs to be more than just that. And the brands, all the brands that are doing well, that are able to navigate storms and tough times and this, that, and the other, are the ones that go, yeah, ads is important for us, but it's not the be all and the end all. So there you go. That's the big takeaway. Look, I think it's been really good fun. We're looking for more brands to come on. So if you're a business, big or small, if you're in the home and garden lifestyle space, and you want to tell your story and you want to talk marketing, maybe pick my brains, or Darren's brains, on a creative standpoint, and you want to just come on and have some fun for about an hour, then just reach out. It's completely 100%. It's completely free to come on. You can apply via our website. We generally get you on within a few weeks, and we hope you're enjoying it. Make sure you give us a little like or subscribe on our channels. We've got podcast episodes coming thick and fast now, haven't we?
Yeah.
Every 2 weeks now.
Every 2 weeks on
revised
Spotify
format.
and YouTube.
Spotify, YouTube, Apple.
And
Do
Apple.
you use Apple?
No.
Do you not? I don't use Apple.
No, to be fair, I don't use, weirdly enough, I have a Mac, but I don't like iPhone.
I'm exactly the opposite. So I have an iPhone. Don't put Mac, absolutely not.
Together, though.
Well, yeah.
With the complete package.
Yeah, literally. But but then I don't use, I'm the bit between, so an iPhone, love me iPhone.
Yeah.
No, well, I have the iPhone. But beyond that,